Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So, I just wanted to go ahead and welcome you all in. Thank you all for joining us this Sunday. I'm going to toss it over to Rebecca, who's leading us this weekend.
Yes, hello everyone. Good to see some familiar faces. Gina, hi Seren. Oh, Kuan Yin, hey. Been a while. So excited to see everyone. I would love to start with our icebreaker question.
What is one social cause you're passionate about? Is the icebreaker question.
Okay, so what is one social cause you are passionate about? Get some volunteers to pitch in.
What just popped into my mind was kindness and acceptance. I feel like that's a social cause that gets to be more widespread and something that I would like to elevate to a social cause. And I am complete.
Beautiful.
I'm going to jump in on that and read out what Gina shared, because it's really resonating with me a lot today, which is unhoused and mental health. Which I think, like when you said kindness and compassion, I think about just the many people who oftentimes by many go overlooked and looked past. And as we close out Mental Health Awareness Month, it's also a cause that I've been thinking a lot about, and how to be on the front lines of allyship and supporting others in spreading empathy while also taking care of my own mental health, so I can show up with a full cup.
Definitely appreciate that we're all talking about mental health as we're closing out that month and drawing the relationships between generational trauma and personal trauma and what that looks like, kind of decolonizing cities and what that looks like. I think those are really powerful and in many ways are intertwined.
Yeah, I think unhoused is a huge one. I'm gonna say let's ride those. Unhoused. I've been homeless for a year and a half now, through weird circumstances of a job overseas falling through, and then getting stuck at home through COVID. It's been a weird time, and nobody expects to be homeless. Nobody as a kid is like, when I grow up, I'm gonna be homeless. And I think for the most part, those people and a lot of people who end up on the street have mental health issues, both before and caused by being unhoused and being homeless. And I'm back in LA. I haven't been in LA in a while, and it is everywhere. It is everywhere. This, if you looked at LA as a living, breathing entity, it's not well. It's not doing well. And I think LA is kind of indicative of humanity as a whole right now. And we're neglecting a lot of people. And I think the disparage of wealth is kind of goes hand in hand with that. There's it's not like we don't have enough money on this planet to provide for everybody. It's just real weird. I was looking at somebody comparing now to the plague of like 1912, and same issues, except we had kings and monarchs gobbling all the wealth back then, and now we have billionaires and Jeff Bezos, and they're all intertwined. I feel like all of these social causes, every single one is intertwined, and they're all complicated, and everybody kind of just wants to regurgitate sound bites. I mean, nobody wants to have the real deep discussions to fix them, and I think that's the problem. I'm going on way too long, guys. I'm complete.
No, I really appreciate that. That totally ties into all the work that we've been doing, and the release of this deck that helps start those conversations that aren't very easy. Whenever you mentioned that, you know, in LA, that it kind of, I think it also does represent the state of our humanity. I feel so much guilt sometimes whenever I'm invited to go like eat at like the trendy food spots and it's like right next to Skid Row. I'm like this just doesn't feel right, you know, like what can we do? So I think that starts with the conversation, like the conversation we're having now. So I'm really grateful for your insight and our community here today. Thank you. Wow. Well, today we're joined by our fabulous team for the Human Rights Edition. I have the privilege of being the project manager for this new deck, Actually Curious. And we also have Gina on the call. Gina was our copywriter for this edition. And of course, Caroline, the creative director of Curiosity Lab / Actually Curious, and Michael, who has been our fearless leader, guiding us through this, surrendering to us and having ears and heart and eyes open to hearing what the community really wanted to bring to this deck. So let's start with some introductions. So we're going to be talking about the making of this deck, the Human Rights Edition. I can start with introduction to myself. I'm Rebecca. You may have seen me on previous empathy workouts as a participant, but I'm also project manager for Actually Curious. It's only been a couple months now, but honestly, it feels like forever because of all the meaty work that we do. I am also the founder and editor-in-chief of a small press called Curious Publishing. So similar name, which I've always loved. And we promote artists, BIPOC, queer, and women artists throughout the Inland Empire of California, which is right outside of out of LA. And I'd like to introduce Gina, who is our copywriter on the Human Rights Edition. Gina, did you want to say a couple words about yourself? You are an author and an artist.
Yes, hi. I am an author. I wrote a children's book, and I am a new emerging artist. I just started like last year putting out works of art, and it's just taken off. And because of my art, that's how I met Rebecca. And because of Rebecca, that's how I met these wonderful people at Actually Curious. So I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, I love how all these relationships just organically blossom. It's really all about, you know, your homies and your network and figuring out what resources that you can share with each other so that you can have these amazing opportunities to extend your reach for your vision and your art. And I'm excited to keep growing with you in different ways, Gina. Okay, and Caroline. Caroline is the fabulous creative director of Curiosity Labs. I have the privilege of working with her often. I feel like we're kin. Yeah, tell us about your what you do. I mean, we know what you do, but tell us.
Yeah, well, this I guess is like almost my first time speaking properly at empathy workouts, and not in like a small chair where Michael forces me to do so. I am the creative director of Actually Curious and Curiosity Lab, and I'm also chief of staff and operations manager and a customer service department and a lot of other things.
Wears many hats.
Many hats. Yeah, that's how it is.
Curiosity Labs. That's how I see her. Queen bee.
I'll take it.
Excellent. Well, I want to start. I want to introduce the community to this deck. This is the 4th deck by Actually Curious. We started with the Curiosity edition, which I've heard, which still kind of surprises me, but maybe it doesn't a little bit, that some of the questions were considered kind of hard hitting and not easy to approach. So Curiosity Lab decided to put out a couple of more lighter decks that would be a little easier to approach, but also still bring up meaningful questions. So the Happy Hour edition and the Culture edition. But my question to you, Caroline, is why, if the first deck was so hard hitting, what was the call to create the Human Rights edition? What was the inspiration behind that push?
Yeah, so I mean, I think when we I think probably most likely in this group, it's hard to imagine that the questions from the Curiosity editions are like really hard, and but they are the feedback that we got from like the like shops and people that we worked with that maybe weren't as into the work as we are, found it really challenging. So that's why we created the Happy Hour edition in 2019 as like the lighter version. And then when we actually used it in like workshops like this, for example, we found that it was actually like pretty deep. It was maybe even deeper than what would really speak to the people that had a hard time talking about these difficult topics. So that's why we created the Culture edition, to really start at like just like a low level of just fun conversations, but that still has meaning. And then so as we have grown also, and I think with just everything that's been going on in the world since like actually almost to the day a year ago, is people they want to have like a tool to help having these difficult conversations. And we have now heard that the questions from the Curiosity editions is actually too easy sometimes. So that's why we chose to go deeper.
Love it. So kind of leveling up from that, but also taking the time to pull back a bit.
Yeah.
And Michael, I'm not sure if you wanted to chime in on how that decision was made with Caroline to do this push for the Human Rights edition.
Yeah, I think that Caroline really took you all through the progression, almost in real time, in a time machine, as we were like listening to people and playing the game and seeing what was needed and how we could support the community better. You know, this deck, and Rebecca, you were part of some of the conversations early on where I was like, I don't know what this is going to do. It's either going to be the biggest deck of them all, or it's going to have a really niche audience of specialists, because people have started using these decks in facilitation, in for DE&I work. We have instances where like even correction facilities are using them as a way to break the ice before they have their team meetings. So just all kinds of applications that we weren't expecting. And so we kind of figured that this deck, you know, once folks explore all of the Curiosity edition, that we know we've been getting asked by teachers, by schools, by administrators, by parents, to hit on some more specific topics. We actually have, it's always surprising to us when folks say, you know, like they just skip straight past the blue and the green levels and go up. So today, you know, we're here for it. We created this deck. We got the wisdom of the community, experts across all different areas of human rights to support. And now I'm just excited to see how it shows up in the world. Sometimes scared, really, frankly, sometimes scared about the conversations, but
definitely something that is important to have. So we did collaborate with dozens of people across, you know, from holistic healers, leaders in social justice, different areas of human rights, teachers, doctors, people from the UK. It was quite the process. So we had our online submissions. We reached out to people that we trusted in our community, and just kind of this web was created to get as many voices as we could to make sure that we weren't missing any areas, of human rights, which obviously is easy to happen. You can't truly like plot every aspect of human rights into a chart, but we tried our best to gather these questions, and we ended up with, I think, over 500 separate questions on human rights. So it was amazing to see all this input from all of our collaborators, and that's when we needed Gina to hop in and be like, okay, I see what you're saying, now let's start funneling it in. Let's see where the connections are between the different topics. And Gina, did you want to talk a bit about the process of getting the questions into categories, consolidating, bringing light to important topics?
Well, I have a UI UX background, and one of the things we learned how to do was an affinity map, which is just basically you write out every question and you put it on a giant wall or board, and then you can start to see if questions are similar or if the idea behind the question is similar, and you group them. And then you just kind of like keep combining it down to get the bulk of the ideas and where people's heads are at. And then you take those sample questions and you test it on different people. Like you ask them, how would you answer this? And you look to see their response and if they have any further questions. So I did that, and I was able to like whittle it down, and then just bringing it back to the group and having our group sessions to like go over each individual question and seeing if we need to like rephrase it, reframe it.
Mm-hmm. You have a son, so I understand that you did ask him quite a few of the questions to just kind of see from a youth perspective how they were handled. What are
oh, I'm so sorry. Say it again.
Yeah, just go. I'm really interested to hear his reactions.
So I actually asked him and his basketball team because they age range from like 9th to 12th grade. And I love to hear my son's opinions just like throughout the day on like different current events, different race issues, etc. And he has a really strong opinion, and I know that his friends also do, and that's definitely like valuable information because they don't have the same filter that adults have. So going and asking them this like bulk of questions and just seeing them, their faces turn up like, I don't understand what you're saying, or like, what are you, talking about? But also like, yeah, like that's a good question, getting excited about it is just super valuable because you can see, they say that if you ask 10 people a question, that you'll get like 70% of America's responses to a question. So that I just thought it was like a perfect amount of people to ask.
And Michael or Caroline, have you, since you got the decks ahead of time, have you tried them out on your community or your loved ones that you've been hanging out with lately?
We've been, I don't think on like we've yet to play it with Michael's parents. We're in Florida, so we could, but we have yet to test that out. We did a workshop with who did we do a workshop with? Havas. We did a workshop with Havas using it for the very first time on Monday, which was a really great experience. We did breakout rooms, so we had our trained facilitators leading breakout rooms with a journaling exercise using the game, which was really a really beautiful session. But yeah, like excited to try it in a more, I guess, in like a closer setting.
I had brought my deck to the Zine Fest that I did yesterday, just because I honestly bring them with me everywhere. I'm like, photo opportunities, you know, on a creative side, or just whenever I'm meeting new people, sometimes it's a great way to, I mean, I think it's a great way to start conversations. And one of my collaborators picked up the deck and started flipping through the cards. They were like, oh, they're just like, these are like intense. What is this? And I'm like, okay, well, probably not the best first deck to see of this, but the reactions have been kind of like, you know, like, yes, I've never seen like quite a collection like this in one place. So I'm excited to incorporate it into, you know, using the Curiosity Edition.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I'm very excited. We also have the AR filter if anyone wants to try that out. You know, if you haven't ordered a deck, or if you just, you know, you don't like keeping a lot of objects around, you can do the online version on Instagram. So yeah, go ahead.
I'd love to just, I guess, chime in just a tiny bit and just, I don't know, I want to give color to the me mentioning that I sometimes feel afraid of pulling them out. So far, you know, we brought out the deck and we pulled out into a workshop questions that we thought, it was the first time that these facilitators were facilitating. So we pulled some questions that we thought, you know, that they'd be able to manage. And I guess from that perspective, it gives so much more range now of topics that if you know that we know that there's something we want to dive into and we're looking for the right kind of non-judgmental framing, then we have like more options for questions that we'd pull, because as you know, there are only 6 questions in the highest level of the Curiosity Edition, so we just like ended up recycling those a lot towards the end. But I guess I don't know. I don't need to keep talking. I guess I just wanted to share that we know that what we've created has some really difficult conversations in it. Conversations that I haven't had. I'm really grateful that as you were coming up with the design today, that you put in the journaling element so I could have a brief moment to reflect on my thoughts before coming out. But we're in the wild west now. Most people don't want to have these conversations with their loved ones, let alone strangers. So the fact that we're gonna actually bring something that goes, okay, it's ready. This is what we're talking about. I'm just you know, I'm just excited to see how it unfolds.
Me too. I think that we should jump into our grounding exercise so that we can get started on previewing some of these topics with our journaling exercise. What do you say?
Let's do it, guys. I hope the wind isn't too windy. It'll give a nice ambiance for the meditation. All right, my beautiful humans. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Gently allowing your eyes to close. Feeling yourself rooted into your seat. Listening to the sounds around you. Feeling the temperature on your skin. The subtle sensations within your body. And just allowing them all to exist with compassion, with awareness, and taking a deep intentional breath in of love, filling up to the top, holding it, relaxing your body underneath the hold, and releasing the breath out into the space around you. giving your body a little wiggle, a little shake, a little sway, beginning to move your energy around, creating that life force within you, leveling it up just a little bit with gentle movement, whether it's your hips, your shoulders, feeling into that flow, that freedom, acknowledging any tension, any insecurities, and just lovingly stretching them out, breathing into them. And finally, imagine that you are hugging your inner child, like a big hug, like you see this inner child in front of you running up to you, and they're gonna jump on you, and you're gonna do a spin hug, and it's gonna be the best, biggest hug that you've had in the longest time, and you're both laughing, and it's awesome. And with a smile on your face, I want you to feel that blissful energy. And slowly bring your attention back into this space, wiggling your fingers, blinking your eyes open. And thanking yourself for creating that beautiful mindful moment.
I really envisioned my inner child running up to me in my childhood home. It was pretty good. I'm really grateful for that. Thank you. I think that it's time to dive in to our empathy workout, empathy and human rights. Let's do it, y'all. So this is how it's going to work today. We're going to explore a game of Actually Curious for the Human Rights Edition. We'll display a question on the screen and spend 3 minutes on each question. So we invite you to take out your cell phone, your notes, your journal that you have in hand. Jot something down when you see these questions that go on the screen and spend 3 minutes on them. After the 3 minutes, we'll discuss the questions as a community and move on to the next question. All right, let's do it. Question 1. What does empathy mean to you? Let's take 3 minutes to explore this question, and we'll be back and share with each other. Okay. Feel free to also use the chat and share your thoughts in the chat with us. What does empathy mean to you? Let's do 3 volunteers to share. Raise your hand with the raise hand button on here, or you can simply unmute yourself. Anne?
Hi, yeah. So I came up with empathy is wondering why. It's actually curiosity. It's open to difference, caring. It's what happened to somebody before now. Imagining from a different point of view, having asked enough others to know about differences, and dropping judgment.
Beautiful. Gina?
Empathy to me means it's a direct connection of understanding of feelings, emotions, mental landscape, one or all of the above of another living thing.
I love it. Dr. Stewart?
Yeah, so for me, empathy is like feeling other people's feelings, which is for me easier said than done. So it is about not judging, but making a space, like in my heart, to accept other people. And for me, it's also a practice. Like you do need to practice it. It doesn't necessarily happen by accident. So you need to practice. It is a practice.
Absolutely. Like saying it out loud, sounds easy enough, be open to hearing wholeheartedly. But we all have those judgments when we come in, when we approach someone, our biases, and it's one of those things that we constantly need to keep in check. So exactly, strengthening that muscle, practicing empathy. And I see Kyra, you have your hand up. Did you want to chime in?
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to send some appreciation for all the chat comments, but I did want to talk a little bit about walking in someone's shoes, understanding the texture of their shoes, the size, the material, just understanding what it means to be them, whether it be a living being or a collective or a neighborhood, what it really means to be and why we are the way we are, and just trying to sit in comfort and understanding of that.
Absolutely. I'm going to read some off from the chat from Michael. Empathy is becoming more multi-layered than I ever imagined. Simply, it means being able to see and feel each other in situations on a higher level. Almost an additional sense to the 5 we are most taught about. Empathy is the language of feelings. Empathy is awareness and love for the collective. Beautiful. And for Caroline, things that were being said are really resonating with the audience here. So I'm excited to hear more about this and keep this conversation going. All right, let's go on to the next question. Okay. 3 privileges I'm grateful for are, and go ahead and take 3 minutes again, either write in the chat, write something down, and let's share some of our thoughts. 3 privileges I'm grateful for are, I'd like to share. How about some of our contributors for human rights? Feel free to unmute yourself and chime in if you'd like.
Hello. Hi. It's Bronwen. I don't have my camera on because I moved upstairs. Sorry. Yeah. So I remember having this question a few weeks ago, and my answers have actually stayed the same, roughly, but I moved them around. But number 1 still was like my support groups, because I don't think that I would probably be in a level headspace without them to reassure me on like lots of different things. And then what changed from last time was number 3, but it's now number 2, and it's a little bit cheesy, but it's like actually empathy workout. So like yesterday I was really angry and upset with like one of my problems that's going on, like where I'm living, and in my head I was like, I just wish it was Sunday so I could just chill out and just be in like a community space for like an hour
with people who are equally like just trying to have a chill time. And like, yeah, so for me that moved from number 3 to number 2. And then number 3 is, they're kind of fighting together. This is a new one, but quotes that help me move on, which is like me and my flatmate Nomanje. We always say to each other things like ride the wave, enjoy the view. And we quote this guy from YouTube, and he says, it's above me now. And like just silly quotes to like help you be like one of them is also like, it's only temporary. And so it's been really nice. And then, so yeah, the kind of like the idea that everything will turn out okay in the end, which I think it's important to recognize that as a privilege, to kind of be like, well, I'm clearly in like a safe space to be able to believe that. And then the one that I didn't put down, but was having the things I need in my life with me right now, which, you know, like the house that I'm in now, it came to me when I needed it and I don't need it anymore. Or like, I don't know, maybe when you're a kid, like having a certain game that lets you have some escapism. Like I don't necessarily need it now, but having like material things when you need them. Yeah, that was it.
Thank you. Michael, I saw your hand up. Did you want to share with the community as well?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Bronwyn, for sharing those. I found myself having gratitude for the community, yourself included, and everyone I've kind of come in contact with as a as an introvert who in some ways got way more social through COVID-19. I'm just really grateful for all the amazing people who've entered in my life, just looking at the screens, and hearing you kind of talk about that, and being in a place where I can have that gratitude easily, and share in other people's gratitudes and wins easily is frankly just not where I was last year at all. It was very hard actually to feel other people's joy. I don't know. So I guess like the reason I pulled my hand down is because my list was changing as I was listening. But I can even remember, I remember the really sad moment that I was having, longing for my brothers, longing for a better relationship with my nieces and nephews, and knowing that I needed to sit with my emotions. This was somewhere between February and December, so not that long. And like sitting with those emotions and crying by myself. Caroline was in Copenhagen, and feeling like rage, and sitting with that, and sitting with it, and giving myself permission to have those feelings, until I realized on the other end of that I'm sorry, I'm in my emotions right now, but the desire to just surrender and let surrender to the new relationship that I have with my brothers on a spiritual level, or surrender to belief that, if I'm that my relationships with my nieces and nephews will go where they're meant to go, and that maybe I need to stop forcing it so much, and the pain that I was feeling, maybe I need to lower my ego. So that's what I'm feeling at the moment. And actually, I think I can go backwards through my list with that. I'm just really grateful that I have an understanding of emotions, an understanding of myself, and better tools to sit in them, because the difficult emotions aren't getting any easier. It's more so that I'm learning that on the other side of them, I've had enough evidence that on the other side of the difficult emotions is usually some sort of learning. And this time last year, I'm actually at the Starbucks that I was at when I found like this acute emotional attack from seeing a bumper sticker and being like, what the fuck is this? I need to teach people to be able to pay attention to the danger or the lessons or the callings that are coming from these difficult emotions. So I'm grateful for the intellect and the security of mind to work through those difficult emotional moments. A friend here, I won't, if she feels called at any point to express at some point, but a friend here, and even my partner Caroline yesterday expressed something that I don't often, I don't often have to deal with. Even though I'm a smaller man, I am a man, and I don't have to walk around often thinking that every man is sexualizing me or gawking at me or potentially going to do something totally inappropriate that just shouldn't happen. Just a whole other lack of psychological safety that just doesn't, that I don't have to deal with, and that's a privilege. And then finally, I'm still working through forming better relationships with my parents in general, but I'm so ever grateful that I have the opportunity to do so, and I'm just grateful for all of my privileges. And it just fucking pisses me off when people won't go there in order to open up dialogue and be able to be seen, to lower their ego a bit and to create connection.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I thank you for being, as always, vulnerable with us in the community. We're here to support you. It's great to hear that, that you're acknowledging this, that, your partner has maybe experienced being sexualized by other men, and that it is a privilege to not have to deal with that. So that's what really resonated with me. And we're here to support you. No need to apologize for the ranting. That's what we're here for, right? We want you to open up and let loose here in this community. So thank you. Maybe we should keep this conversation going for a couple more minutes. We did have another question, but I don't want to rush through it. What do you think? Does anyone have anything else to say about the privileges that they're grateful for? Well, I'll share mine. I actually didn't write a third one down because I was reflecting so hard on the fact that I have this privilege of ability of using my every single sense that I have. I can see clearly, I can hear music, I have someone else said a sound mind. I have family members who struggle with schizophrenia, who can't enjoy or perceive the things around them the way that they're coming at them. And it's just amazing to me sometimes when I sit there and realize, I'm here, I'm hydrated, I'm eating my meal, I'm connecting with people, I can hear my favorite song, I can put on my favorite dress and walk, and exercise. And that's just, something that I think I take for granted a lot, and something that I want to definitely use all my senses as much as I can, for the better, to connect with people, to enrich my life and the ones that I love around me. So yeah, I wanted to share that one. Okay. you had to list 3 basic human rights that all people deserve, what would they be? I'd love to hear from you all. 3 basic human rights that all people deserve, what would they be? I'd love to hear from you all.
I'll jump in. I don't really have 3 because the first one just like spun me down a hole, a great hole. But it was community. I think community is and should be a human right, and it's how we all used to live. It's how humans and humanity used to be the most vibrant and intelligent and successful and healed, was in community. You had, 40 people around you at all times that you could go to for emotional support, for physical support, for spiritual support. And we're so isolated now. And so I really think, healing falls, like healthcare falls into that, like all these other things fall into that. But I think the key and the umbrella is community.
I truly rely on this community that we built here as a safe place, no judgment, and yeah, I feel that. Okay, does anyone else want to share? I know we're coming on 12 o'clock, so thank you all for sticking around. Good. Saw your reaction in the chat. She said, this is good. Yes. 3 basic human rights, honestly. It seems like a simple question, but I started just listing off these things like boom, 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 down in my head. Like, I don't know if I can do 3, but definitely I think community is a big one. And access to comforts, resting, nourishment, green space. Yeah. Wow, this has been a ride. I'm not used to leading these types of discussions, so I just want to be vulnerable for a second here, and I feel like a drain, but like a good drain and a rush of energy connecting to everyone today. And it's difficult to lead conversations that usually experts like Megan or Michael or Sid are leading. I feel privileged to lead the discussion today. So I just want to give gratitude right now and thank everyone for letting me lead and all that good stuff. So a little bit of a loss for words. So this is me rambling and getting through that. It was so amazing to see people from my own community here. My friend Rachel's on, so shout out to Rachel, my friend Kuan Yin and Gina, all the contributors. I'm recognizing a lot of names. You all contributed such amazing questions to this deck, and I'm so excited to share it with you all. All right.
Thank you so much. You killed it. Everybody give Rebecca a round of applause. And a round of applause for all the contributors, Gina, all the other crew that called in for today. Snaps to yourself. Throwing snaps out. Y'all, it's been a ride. We are just on the cusp of being halfway through 2021. We made a pledge to allyship, to not let the movement for human rights go quiet at any point this year. And now we're at a major point releasing this deck. So thank you all for your contributions up until this moment. Next week, we're excited to kick off Pride Month with Julie Rogers, who is an accomplished author. She is also featured in a Tribeca Films Festival documentary about exposing conversion schools. And she will be actually, okay, I have a bittersweet share, but also I feel really joyful to share. She will be helping us lead our last empathy workout till August. As we've been doing all of this reflecting through Mental Health Awareness Month, we realized that after 6 months, we need a weekend where we don't have a commitment. So we're going to start spacing out the empathy workouts. They're not going away. We'll be announcing one in August very soon. But we are also proactively training and recruiting. So what else do we have up here on the announcements? Hype Bay featured the release of the Human Rights Edition and featured an interview where I was able to kind of highlight all the amazing things that are going on around the Curiosity Lab and Actually Curious ecosystem, including all the amazing organizations across business and nonprofit and education, NASA, for example, Stanford University, who've been bringing our work in. So we got to tease that a bit, and we got to tease that we're going to be doing more events to recruit more trainers into the fold. And one version of that is a partnership that we're doing with Kira and Taylor at Activism. Activism is a high intensity boxing class meets anti-racism training. And we're actually mashing up their program with empathy workout in order to raise awareness for how being on the front lines of freedom and of human rights really requires strengthening your mind, body, heart, and what am I missing? Mind, body, and soul. So we're excited to work with these two brilliant creators and change makers to create another platform with the goal of bringing more people in the cultural landscape into this movement to spread empathy. And with that brings us to our intention for the week ahead, which is I commit to spreading the knowledge and empathy needed to create safety and opportunity for all. How do we spread the tools of empathy so that more people feel confident, like Rebecca did today, holding space and creating forums where we can not shy away from these difficult topics, but rather explore them together without judgment. And I'm so grateful that all of you have come into our lives and I can't wait to hear. Please reach out to me and share how you're using the tools, the mindset, the full cup that you're more capable of cultivating to spread empathy. And with that brings us to the close to Empathy Workout and the launch of, we're officially launched. If I had some champagne, I'd like crack it on the on the bottle. Oh, Ivy's already got her pack.
Ooh. Me too. I got mine.
Yeah, and well, thank you, everyone. Stuart, welcome to your first empathy workout. Anne Bray, Seren, Bronwyn, Rachel, Christy, Quanwyn, Kyra, Rebecca, Megan, Sid. Y'all enjoy your Sunday. I can't wait to see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Thanks so much. This was great.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.